Today I want to talk about the Algernon Blackwood short story, The Woman's Ghost Story. Now I am recording this outside, so you may hear some animals, it may get loud. I'll see if I can edit or re-record parts if needed. I also have a bit of a cold, so we'll see how this sounds. Algernon Blackwood's The Woman's Ghost Story was published in his collection, The Listener and Other Stories, in 1907. I read it in Project Gutenberg's The Best Ghost Stories, edited by Joseph Louis French. Going forward, I will spoil the story. I did enjoy it somewhat, and I'll get to that in a minute. The story opens with a group of people in some kind of social club, or, considering Blackwood's occult interests, maybe a meeting of mystics or occultists. A woman tells the group a ghost story, hence the title. The way she speaks makes me think of like noir, hard-boiled dialogue. She speaks very quickly and matter-of-factly, at least that's how I read it, and I really enjoyed that aspect. The woman, unnamed, goes to a haunted house in London to conduct psychical research after a woman's murder. She goes in at 11 p.m. and is met on the doorsteps by a man she takes to be the talkative caretaker of the place. He follows her in, stating he wants to show her the room. Now, as she goes up to the room in question, she lights the gas lamps and sits down. She realizes that he is not the caretaker. He is a stranger. I love the line when she realizes this. It says, "The silence of the night swallowed up my voice." The man tells her he is a ghost. He tells her that he is the man who died of fright in the house 10 years ago. This story doesn't mean anything to her, but being alone with the stranger in the strange house in the middle of the night does, and she flees. There's a great scene of her fleeing, and I think it's great writing. I reached the door in a run and shot out onto the landing. Like a fool, I turned the wrong way and stumbled over the stairs leading to the next story. But it was too late to change. The man was after me, I was sure, though no sound of footsteps came, and I dashed up the next flight, tearing my skirt and banging my ribs in the darkness, and rushed headlong into the first room I came to. Luckily, the door stood ajar, and, still more fortunate, there was a key in the lock. In a second I had slammed the door, flung my whole weight against it, and turned the key. Before this, the story had been rather static. Just talking, walking, and then her growing terror at finding herself there with the stranger. Then this great burst of action, bumbling in the house in the dark and ending up upstairs instead of outside. This is probably my favorite passage in the story. But when she turns around, the man is in the room with her, and she comes to believe he is a ghost. And this is when the story goes downhill for me. The ghost talks to her, tells her his story, and he believes he needs to be loved or pitied or comforted to be released, to move on to the next plane or the next world or the afterlife. All of the people who come into the house are terrified and they run away. He just needs to be loved. As he pleads with her, she begins to feel pity for him and even to love him. There is one point where she mentions no longer worrying about finding the ghost of the murdered woman, and I thought that maybe that would tie back into this ghost. Maybe when she showed him love or pity, he took something out of her, killing her in the process. The act of loving him didn't work with the previous woman, and now he's trying it again. But no, the murdered woman has nothing to do with him, and love really is the answer. The woman telling the story embraces and kisses the ghost, and he disappears. I do like the passage where the woman talks about the atmosphere of the building changing after the ghost leaves. Not all the devils or shadows or hauntings in the world could then have caused me a single tremor. At the end of the story, the owner of the haunted house, the woman's uncle, confesses that he invented the story of the murdered woman so as not to influence her imagination. I thought this was a cool touch, and I enjoyed the scene with the uncle. The woman decides not to mention the male ghost to him, and simply states that the house is not haunted. I did not care much for the power of love solving the ghost problem, and I think this is a me problem rather than an issue with the story. It's a modern desensitized problem. The truth is, seeing one ghost and then just running away is a terrifying, life-changing experience, and if well written, would make a good ghost story. But over 100 years and many stories one-upping each other have kind of made that seem boring. I've seen in forums people complain about a story because they wanted more ghosts, more zombies, more vampires, more gore, and all that more, I think, and have thought previously, only weakens the effect of having one ghost confront you in real life, as it does to the woman in the story. And here I was reading this, doing the same thing to one of the masters of the ghost story. Having to deal with one ghost is terrifying, and if we put ourselves in the mind of the woman dealing with it, that should be enough if the story is well written. And this is Blackwood, so it is well written. Another facet to consider is Blackwood's background. He was a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a secret society devoted to the study and practice of occultism, among other things. There might have been a belief that understanding, love, pity, or comfort might help actual spirits move on. There were no Ghostbuster phasers or rock salt shotguns in the late 19th century. Perhaps using a spiritual angle to deal with the spirit was one of the prevailing beliefs in spiritualism. I don't know. But even while completely considering both of these points, I still don't like the whole love angle. So that's the story, the woman's ghost story. Overall, I think I enjoyed it, aside from my modern cynical hang-up about love being the answer. There were some great scenes and passages. I definitely recommend reading Algernon Blackwood, and I also recommend Project Gutenberg's The Best Ghost Stories. Not only is it free, but there are some great classic writers and stories in there. So that's it for this one. Have you read this story or other Blackwood stories? What do you think? And am I missing anything in this story that might make me like it a little bit more? I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.